Hello, everyone. This is John Henson, former Tarheel, and I'd like to welcome you guys to TarHeel247, a UNC Basketball Podcast. The folks at 24/7 over there, which I was fortunate enough to be someone that they reached out to and asked if I wanted to participate in this. I said yes, no questions asked, and so no better place to be talking about UNC basketball, getting insider looks, players, coaches, former teammates, all that good stuff on this pod. And you'll get to learn about me and enough about me. But I want to bring in two of my closest friends from my Tar Heel days, Harrison Barnes and Justin Watts, my two guys here. So how you guys doing?
What's up, Hook? Everything good on this end, man? How you feel?
I'm good, man. You got Harrison, 14-year
Podcast
pro,
Hook.
14-year
Podcast
pro
Hook.
NBA champ, Olympic gold medalist. They called him the Black Falcon when I was at school. Now they calling him the Senator, I think. I don't know. I think they call him the Senator now. First freshman in the history of the game to be named preseason All-American. Highest freshman average in NCAA tournament at Carolina. So, he's done some things. And I actually texted him the other day. I said, when I look at your kind of freshman year, especially on paper, it's not talked about enough. I mean, besides maybe T. Hands, like that might have been the best freshman year we've ever seen. So, wanted to give you your flowers on that. And then Jay Watts, right? NCAA champion. He played 27 games that year. And for me, with Jay, I feel like he was always ready. Whenever we was banged up, 1 through 5, Coach Williams was throwing him in there. He was a power forward one game. He was a point guard in the NCAA tournament. So happy to have these guys on. Two of my closest friends, two of my roommates. I live with these guys. So, to start it off, let's just go back. I'll start with you, HB. Your commitment. Obviously, you were one of the highest rated guys to commit. Like, how did that process start? And as Carolina was in the mix, we stopped practice to watch commitment. Did you feel like, hey, maybe this is the school I want to go to, or was it closer than we all thought for other schools?
No, I mean, obviously I was a huge Carolina fan. UNC was one of the last schools to come in to recruit me. And, Coach Williams had said, he's like, look, my goal is to try to make up the distance. I know you've developed these relationships with the other teams, but I want to make sure that you understand that Carolina is a special place. And I think for me, when I came on my visit there, it was the reunion. Everyone was out there. Obviously, Jay, you hosted me on my visit, but it was one of those things where I really saw the Tar Heel family. I was really able to be a part of that, to see that, to say, okay, this is bigger than basketball. Yes, we will go here and the expectation is to win and do all that type of stuff, which is great. But I think being a part of this family, being a part of something that is bigger than yourself, to see all the guys pouring back into other players, I knew for me, that was it. And so, obviously the bonds and the connections that we have, not only on this podcast, but just, that was 15 years ago. No, that was 15 years ago, which feels like yesterday. I think that shows I made the right decision.
And Jay, you kind of had a different path because, obviously you're my guy, but, I don't think the people know, you had a lot of other options, but you wanted to stay home at Carolina and potentially have a role on the team where you could have kind of went to other schools and maybe flourish. I personally think you would have, because you got game. So, that's, can I explain how that process went and why you chose to stay home at your hometown school, essentially?
Yeah. So, oddly enough, HB, I don't know what the we'll talk about this off cast or off the pod, but Carolina was the first letter I ever received. I don't know why you didn't get recruited early on. I don't know what R-Dub was doing, so we're gonna holler at R-Dub about that. We got you back to the Hill anyway. But Carolina was the first one that sent me a letter, recruited me. Obviously, I'm a local guy, so it's a little different. All jokes aside, but I wanted to stay home, and it came down to some West Coast schools, Midwest, and then obviously North Carolina, South Carolina. Dave Odom had retired at the time when I first came out. So family, big family person. You guys know me. Simple and straight to the point guy. So wanted to make sure my mom and dad and brother was able to, experience the things that I experienced in college with coming to games and traveling, because they played a big part in me getting to the point that I got to. So I didn't want to be selfish on that part. So that's why, um, in the very end, I ended up staying in Carolina because, California or, in the Midwest wouldn't have been as easy for my mother or father or younger brother to get the games and watch and support. So played a big role in that.
Yeah, like, for me, it was kind of like I want to go to Texas. I was a Texas kid, and my dad, like, you tripping, like, it's North Carolina. Like, you gotta at least give them a look.
All right.
And when I went to campus, like HB said, it was the family environment. It was just a different feel than all the other visits I went to. To keep it 100, when I went to UCLA in Texas, I felt like a little animosity, it was weird energy, and I just I wasn't feeling it. So Carolina was a school that kind of, showed love for me. And so, getting into the Carolina kind of days. So do you guys have like a favorite memory, like, whether it's the summer games or like, what was kind of your experience, like, something that you enjoyed just being a Carolina guy? Was it to get to walk around and be the man? What was something you enjoyed? I'll start with you, Jay.
Man, we got so many memories, man.
Yeah.
Like so many good ones. But you know what? I'll give you two, Hook.
Don't tell him Hook,
Because
man. They
I
gonna
think
still live.
I think when
That's my real nickname, man. Hold on now, but let's go
I'll
ahead.
give you two, John. I'll give you two, John. But I enjoyed just, especially when HB got there. We were kind of like the comeback kids, you know what I mean? We had a down year, and just the camaraderie we had. We would do everything together. Like, you see one of us, you bound to see 7 or 8 of us. We might be at the movie theaters, we might be at the food court. So just small things like that. And I particularly love the summers when we would go to, the NC Pro-Am when it was, the
Good
big
ball.
Pro-Am.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that
Good
was
ball.
fun.
packing out,
Yeah.
packing out North Carolina Central. Like, it's like, it's thousands of people in there. And, it might be, the us versus state team or us versus Duke team. And we going in there and, just putting on a show for people that couldn't, come to the actual games to see us, but now they can see us in the flesh. But just riding over and, everybody, 1 or 2 cars, we 5, 4 deep, we
4 deep in the
uncomfortable.
Honda with the 13s in the back.
Yeah. So,
Don't get it twisted. We had
we
some humble
driving over
days,
there
bro.
on Belver Street,
Yeah.
getting out the car and going in there and just, really just having fun and being kids, you know what I mean? That would probably be the two, just off the court, not necessarily something, about Carolina in the Carolina uniform, but, going to movies, going out to eat, or going to that Pro-Am in the summer after a workout with Jonas and
Jeez.
showing
Yeah.
people why we at Carolina,
Hey, I wanted, speaking of Carolina, because we talk about memories at the moment before we get in kind of the current stuff. HB, the day that Marv picked you up full court all day in pickup, man, take us to that. Like, I never got to talk to you about it because you're so cool and even killed. But
Man.
now that you're 14 years in, like, come on, keep it 100. Like, what was going on there? Like, talk to me. Because
Man,
I never forget that.
man, I always felt like there was a time period where you had every pro that had to try you. You know what I mean? They had to get on the court and let you know, like I'm a pro and you're still, you're still in college.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, I had a moment with Vince like that. I had a moment with Jawad, like, all the guys, they humble you, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And Marv, I don't know for what reason, because, for those that don't know, like, Marv is my guy. And Marv, he's everyone's guy, but that's really my guy. And it's one of those games, one of those days where you just kind of sit back in the dorm, you kind of just contemplating, your game, your life. You just like, man, what happened out there today? I just really didn't have it, man. You know what I mean? Like, he was really cooking me, like, offensively, defensively. You know what I mean? I couldn't get nothing going, and that's crazy. I didn't get my lick back until he was in Charlotte, and I remember I had a great game, and it was against Mark. He was guarding me a lot, and I was thinking about that day. This was like years. This was like 8 years later.
That was
I'm
on your
like,
mind.
I'm thinking about that.
Like you
this
weren't letting it
is
go.
for that day.
You weren't letting it go. Like,
we're
you had to get right.
letting that go.
Okay.
We're not letting that go. So I definitely remember that. But one of my favorite memories at Carolina was we played pickup outside with the students.
Yeah.
Before that got shut down, that was fun, man. Because we always had our games and our experiences, in the Smith Center. Like, we did that. You know what I mean? It was more closed off, more for pros. But like, really kind of getting that experience with our peers, like people who don't get a chance to be on the court with us, and doing that was fun.
Nah, that's cool. That's what's up. Nah, that was those summer games, man. Like, you always hear the lore. I love like the stories we can tell because people just don't understand that those moments right there were like those pros. Like when I came in and Sean May was giving me work, like people like I needed help, like stuff like that, man. So let's kind of move on to the team this year, man. So what do you guys think about this? I mean, we got 8 new guys. It's hard to really tell what they're going to be in this new NIL era. I mean, give your thoughts on NIL as well. Like, with these new guys, like, what do you think of this team this year and how we're looking so far, at least on paper?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just integrating into culture. I mean, obviously with NIL, there's so many moving parts. Guys can, they transfer in 1, 2, 3 times, you know what I mean, just based off the economics of it. So I think for those that come into Carolina that aren't coming straight from high school, it's about how do you integrate into the culture that's already there, you know what I mean, trying to play with pace. We going to get out and run. We're going to do that. Obviously Coach Davis, he's done a good job at just trying to, add his blueprint onto the already, the traditional Carolina blueprint. And, I'm optimistic.
About you, Jay? What you the outlook on this year? It's so tough, right? Because it's like, I mean, 8 dudes, but what do you think, the outlook on this year and just kind of how Coach Davis is doing in this new kind of NIL era?
I think it's kind of on paper. It showed that we're a little more prepared. I know the NIL is fairly new, and maybe last year, I think this team compared to last year's team, this team's constructed a little better as far as based on how we play Carolina basketball. You guys know in the past, we've always had, certain prototypes, certain type of, rosters where it's set up where we got, 3 or 4 bigs. We got some large wings that can be, versatile. Then we have, a couple of interchangeable pieces where it doesn't matter what position you put the guy at, they can be productive. I think this team has the chance to, be that type of team on paper. Obviously chemistry and meshing and doing all of that. I think Coach Davis is, anytime you do something and, you quote unquote don't do as well as you want, you learn from that. So I think he's going to take a lot of experiences from last year and bring it to this team as well and continue to get better. As a matter of fact, I know he will, the type of guy he is. So I think on paper, like HB said, I'm optimistic. I think with the new freshman coming in who's pretty good and a couple of transfers and with Seth having a big year, I think he should. I think, I'm remaining optimistic with that.
I think Seth's going to be the guy. I looked at kind of his stats. He's kind of doubled his stats every year. He's comfortable in the system. I always laugh because I think I've talked about it with both of y'all individually. Like with our team, I was looking on, just researching some stuff, and we had 7 guys that played in the NBA. And so I don't think we would be who we were, friends that we were in this era, because I see it like this. Got to pay HB, right? Got to pay Zeller. Got to keep them 2 boys, right? Probably got to keep Kendall. And them boys, and y'all don't go be cheap. So I may have been the odd man out. I personally think I would have had to either stay with y'all or go get to the money. Like, who knows, right? Like, so I'm sad because it's kind of like a professional now. Like, we had these friendships and these bonds, and even people that we knew at school, right? HB, met his wife at UNC, right? So, I'm interested to see what happens and where this goes, because I don't think we would have been together. I don't think we would have been as good. There's no way, right? We had 6 first rounders, right? And who knows? People don't know, when we were about to leave HB, right? We had to go to Z's crib and lock him in the house and be like, yo, where are you going? You know what I mean? So
that's why I think guys would have taken less to stay, because I think the mentality was a little different, right? Like we was, coming to Carolina, you knew there was those who won the championship and those that didn't, right? And so you're going down that path of hey man, Z, we need you to come back. Yo, I know you want to go to the draft, but can you come back? We'll have a good team, and this is what it would go. So I think even if it did come to that, I think guys would have been hey man, just using round numbers, let's say we'll all take 100K less or whatever it is, to make sure that
Okay, 100.
you know what I mean. It
Nah.
works.
Listen,
If you know you get
HB would have
drafted,
took 2. Hey, Jay, H would have took about 2. Right? Come on now, rookie of the year.
Hey,
Like,
man,
come on, he averaged 20 in the last. Like Z would have probably took Z. Z would have probably took a couple. You know what I'm saying? Kendall might have. I might have had to take a little less, but they was going.
Okay.
HB laughing. He's HB laughing.
To
HB
be
was gonna get his money.
transparent though, Hook. To be transparent, they would have had to pay UHBZ.
Thank you, Jay over here trying to act like he ain't.
Jay would have been.
Hey,
Jay would have been in
He
Clemson.
wasn't Defensive Player of the Year, Jay. Come on, man. This ain't anything.
I think you would have been. I think you would have been in Clemson somewhere, Jay. You probably would have been. You
I may have bounced. I'm not gonna lie, but you 2-time HB All ACC, Kendall Bob Cousy, Zella All ACC. Like they would have.
But you gonna get that. You gonna get that money at the draft. So my thing is, you don't need like these young dudes now. They getting what 50 million.
That
40 million, 30,
listen,
you know what I mean? So you're gonna get that anyway. What's taking a little less now to play with your man? Like
that is true. This is definitely different variables because it would have been tricky. Who the Mac might have bolted, PJ. It could go. We could go down a rabbit hole. So let's see. Let's talk about kind of Jay your championship season, man. Because obviously we came in after the ship, right?
Right.
So when we came in, especially my class. Because HB's class kind of saved us. Let's be honest. They came in, we were going back on track. So with our class, with me, the Ware twins, Les, Dex, all those guys, like when we came in from the championship year, what did you see in our class? Also, even with the championship, what did you kind of see the difference in our class? And did you think that we were going to have a rough year to begin with? You keep, just keep it 100.
Well, we were so young, man. Like. I think after we won the ship, I think the only people that came back were me, Ed, Dion, Larry, and Zeller. Everybody else, was,
Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus. But he was hurt. MG was banged up. His foot wasn't, quite allowing him to be who he wanted to be. He was, in and out of the lineup all the time. When you guys came in, your group, you guys were talented, man. I think y'all were the deepest class we had the whole time I was there. I think y'all had 6. It was Ware twins, you, Les, and Dex. So most of the time, it's either 3 or 4 guys that Carolina bring in. We don't really have 5 or 6 guys coming in. Y'all were super talented, but, it was a little bit on us too. Me and Larry were the starting backcourt for a while, and, we hadn't really had any experience on the court to where we could lead some talented guys. So we were all learning on the fly. I think when HB and them came in with Kendall and Reggie, they were just as talented as you guys, but we had a little more experience. We had been beat up. We had learned what's not going to work.
They was a little more mature, Jay. Just say it, Jay.
HB.
I missed the pickup for a seat for a seminar party, Jay. They had
but HB
come grab us.
HB was heading the group, but also HB was able to because me and HB developed a relationship early on his freshman year. I don't think I would have been able to give the advice to HB my sophomore year that I gave him my junior year. You know what I mean? So I think with the maturity of HB, because to be honest with you, Kendall and Reggie won't no more mature than you and Les and the Ware twins. You know what I mean? HB was a little more mature. HB, he was locked in. He had goals. Not that y'all didn't, but he was just a little more mature in this fact of HB didn't even have a TV in his room. You know what I mean? So he was ready.
Jay was on the side with me.
I think that Coach Williams he's a great coach because he goes, oh man, I want you to room with the younger guys and I want you to room with Harrison, but I think he wanted Harrison in the room with me. I'm gonna be honest.
That's a fact.
Yes. So and I tell HB all the time, me watching him, just his routine and what he did, that changed my career, right? You know what I'm saying? Just how he approached everything. And so I'm appreciative of that because, when HB came in, you could talk about it, HB, you had a saxophone, a better basketball DVD. What was going on? What were you thinking? Were you coming to college or you was coming to the G League? What was your mindset?
My mindset was I was trying to make it to the NBA. Because y'all know how it was, right? Before pickup, Ray was there. Yep. Ray would get workout in, and Shaman was there. You know what I mean? So you kind of work out with with one of the guys before pickup. So boom, you doing that. Boom, then we play, pros get all the foul calls, they get every questionable 50-50. You know what I mean? You trying to just get some, trying to get away. And afterwards, we trying to put in work too. So my whole mindset coming into it was just like, man, I got to put everything into making it. You know what I mean? Because I knew Carolina had all the other things that, a young kid could want. You know what I mean? That could definitely distract you, get you off your way. And I think the biggest thing that I learned from you, Jay, was the balance in everything, right? I kind of came in very, I don't want to say tunnel vision, but I had one view of thing. And Jay, you was able to kind of help me find a balance between the work and the relaxation. Taught me to drive, which I'm definitely appreciative for. And both of y'all really, since I wasn't driving in college, both of y'all probably drove me everywhere. For 2 years. So, I'm definitely eternally grateful for that.
I definitely had to be like, look, man, listen, I understand, I get it, but look, you in college, man, enjoy it a little bit. Look, but also on the flip side, like the workouts before we will go out, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, like that it was a perfect kind of balance. So shout out to Coach Williams for putting us together and making me seem like I'm the older guy that needs to look out for the younger guys, but that was a lot, obviously. So I'm gonna rewind back to the Clemson game when you had the 40 ball. Because I want to. Do you remember that game? And tell me about that game. Like you had 14 of our 19 in OT. That's the most points by anyone in the overtime period in 30 years in the ACC tournament. So, what was going on? How, you caught fire? Like, what was your mindset that game? You put us on your back. What happened?
No, I mean, I think Jay, y'all both know it, right? Like, there was the games, but then there was the game within the game, right? So each of the teams, people would always talk. They always felt like Carolina was soft, that we was prima donnas or whatever. You would hear that from State, even though maybe I don't know the research. I don't know if they beat us, but you have teams like that. They just always would say something, right? So, Clemson, they would always be a chippy game. What's the young fella's name? Milton Jennings. You had guys up there.
Milton, love Milton.
They talking crazy, doing all that. You know what I mean? So it just it gets to a point. You know what I mean? Like the regular season. You're in the postseason now. So it was really one of those things where how we kind of had our group was whoever kind of had a game going, the ball would kind of find them, right? Like depending on what it was. Obviously, Kendall was, phenomenal at getting people to basketball. And at that point in time, too, a lot of the shots I would get would be off creation, right? Whether it's pick and roll, Kendall hitting or somebody else passing or swinging or whatever. So it was just one of those games where, like, guys did a great job of the ball was coming to me. You know what I mean? I felt good shooting the basketball, and things kind of just fell in line that way.
Look, man, it kind of reminds me, y'all boys remember Marquette in the tournament. And Coach Williams comes in. He's like, man, these boys said, they eating McDonald's. Y'all McDonald's on Americans. They eating this, and y'all eating steak and lobster. And I always just say, like, just because that Carolina blue in the chest don't mean nothing. And that was probably the worst thing they could have said to our team. That's the thing, too. I don't think people realize when we went out there, like, don't let us have a little – like, Coach Williams was a master motivator, right? And so, he just was like, hey, look, they said y'all soft. I don't know what to tell you. Like, they said that, and we were like, what? And then we were up 40-18 at a half. And, he probably in the corner like, got him. Like, that's what I wanted to do. So, man, look, I don't want to keep y'all too long. This is the first one. Hey, appreciate y'all boys coming on. HB, J. Watts, like I said, two of my closest friends. We are on here every week, every Wednesday at noon until the season starts. Thanks for watching on YouTube, listening to wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to check in or check out TarHeel247 for all the latest on the Carolina kind of athletics, the hemisphere, and specifically with us basketball. See you guys next week.